Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got Sherri Divband, and today we're going to be talking about children, divine souls, NPCs. We're going to be talking about the electromagnetic field of Earth, how it's thinning, and also the timeline split, hologram, and the Dracos. Sherri, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a good 3, 4, 5 years, I think. I can't remember. How long has it been since we did our
I,
first show?
I definitely think it's been at least 3 years since we spoke last. So it's been a while. So I'm glad to be back.
That's great stuff. Well, you look very well. What have you been up to? Tell us a
What?
little bit.
Oh, Nicholas, last time we spoke, I was actually living in Maryland, so right in the metropolitan DC area. And I moved to Florida to open up, get the process going to open up our first school. So I'm the founder of Aramis Creative Learning Center, which is a conscious-led alternative approach to learning. And I started that when we first spoke about 5 years ago as a virtual component. And so we're continuing to get that going. So I moved to Florida about 3 years ago. Since then, I've written 3 books. And I travel around. I do public speaking, I host retreats, and I do one-to-one soul sessions. And I work a lot with children, psychic children, families with children that are new earth, starseeds, what we like to call them. And so I'm quite busy.
Absolutely. Now, you know that now that the timelines are splitting, we could call it the Great Awakening is happening, and we're kind of going back to Atlantis. Like from 3D to 5D. We're restoring the blueprint of Earth because it's been hijacked for so many thousands of years. And at this time, lots of children are being born that are star seeds, divine souls, etc., to anchor the new Earth as frequency nodes. Um, I hear also the Dracos, because of that, the Draco system is also filling the population with new children, also who are NPCs or empty vessels as well, to counteract that as well. But of course, I don't believe they will succeed in any way. But what do you think about that?
You're absolutely right, Nicholas. So we're all have our own unique spiritual divine blueprint. All of us do, just like a fingerprint. So they know, they know when we're coming in. They know everybody that is born into this planet because you have to go through essentially an etherical birth portal. So as we enter this atmosphere as a soul and we're born into a human body, we come in with that spiritual blueprint. And so it tells us exactly like a barcode, where have we come from? What star system? How many lives have we had? And what our specialties are. And so I believe that they knew and have known for quite some time that this ascension was on the horizon. And they've done so many things to prevent it, which is what I refer to as a 3D interference. So a lot of the ways that they do that is by programming and hijacking the mind. And they started with, I don't know what we're allowed to say anymore on these channels, so I'll still say these things, the toxins in the food, the electromagnetic frequencies. They do a lot of things to suppress and traumatize the children from a young age. So they lose that high frequency and they forget who they are, which is why we started labeling children to begin with, because the reason that most children are unique and different these days, which we would call Asperger's or ADHD or have dyslexia. The reason they have those things is actually because they are very dynamic ascended souls that are coming in with a completely different divine blueprint. So they're not used to this 3D reality, this density at all. They are outside of the box thinkers, they're rebels, and they're full of this love vibration, and they have their own spectrum of qualities and unique abilities. And so they knew they were coming. So they've had to figure out a way, how can we stop these children from advancing and doing what they came here to do? So I believe through these things and indoctrination through the schooling system, programming through the television shows, music, and black box technology, voice to skull technology, all the things I talk about that I refer to as a blanket term, 3D interference. They do that to stop these children from succeeding.
Absolutely. And it's not just children. I mean, these children become into adults, and you and me are adults. We were children once, and here we are stepping into our mission. And this is what resonates with us, is to, get the truth out there and wake up as many people as possible. But what I understand, Sherri, is that when we're born, they hit us with this spiritual amnesia. where we completely forget who we are, which isn't normal. I'm learning that this isn't normal at all, and that the pharmaceuticals and the processed foods and the EMFs and the fear and the grief is all to fragment the soul so that we are more susceptible to the manipulation, to control, to then unconsciously consent to to spiritual contracts that we're not even knowingly consenting to. What do you think about that?
You're absolutely right to some degree, but then there's always layers to it, Nicholas. So there's always a higher aspect. Like I like to look at things from the macro perspective. So in reality, what I've been told when I do readings, consented with a lot of galactic beings and the higher selves of so many people all around the world, and many of which have told us, hey, we've come into this veil of forgetfulness because we really want to have an authentic, organic experience. And I really want to learn the lesson of X, Y, or Z. And so they come into realities not remembering, because if you remembered everything, then you've already mastered, then what's the point in coming in and trying something new? So to some degree, souls want to forget. They don't want to remember everything. But at the same time, I think the Dracos, the powers that were, and they create this illusion and this matrix to fragment our soul so that we are programmed and we forget, and the veil becomes even more thick. And then we really truly get stuck here. And that's where we hear soul trapped. And then that's where NPCs come from. So, and there's a lot of different types of NPCs. Some NPCs are simply just people just like you and I who had so much trauma throughout our life, really did forget where we came from, and maybe got into drugs and alcohol, and entities swarmed us and attached us. And then next thing you know, our soul is sitting in the back seat while this other entity has taken control of us. And we're not really there anymore, but we're still connected. And we're kind of like in the back seat of our life, and the soul is still there. And that's one variation of what we're seeing right now with NPCs, where they just seem like they're completely asleep. They're just in a hypnotic state. Then there are other inorganic souls that come through, where whether through cloning programs, government programs, and other ways, they hijack the soul of the baby that's coming through, and they implant an empty soul, an empty vessel, or a hive-minded, usually controlled by AI. So AI is a big factor in all of this, and those souls are the ones that have the really dark, unpure, black-eyed, not even literally black eye, but you look at them and they just seem soulless, and they're not there. And they're the ones that are the hardcore agenda pushers. They're the ones that are the true psychopaths,
Mm-hmm.
narcissists, and a lot of them have been running our world.
Would you not call them more Draco overlays, where they have a Draco, the Draco has a spiritual overlay onto these AI conscious beings?
I think yes. What it is there's a Draco imprint, sure, but it's bigger than the Dracos too, Nicholas. I mean, this is so much bigger than just a reptilian Draco war. There's artificial intelligence, and there are beings that we have never seen nor have we ever heard of in this galactic cosmic universe, and that are participating because they want to keep us under control. So there's a lot of powers that play that are helping, and there are a lot of powers in play that are trying to prevent us. And so when they say this is truly a spiritual war, this really is a spiritual war. But Draco is one variation of an imprint of many.
I see. What with so the way I understand is you've got souls that are spiritually awake, some are semi-awake, and then you've got dormant souls. So dormant souls are basically their spark has been muted, they forgot who they are, and they're just anchored in ego, but they're real in essence. They just need to remember who they are, and they're buried in ego and trauma, etc. And then you've got NPCs, which I call non-player characters, where they're basically empty vessels. The Dracos have stopped allowing souls entering the body when a baby or a biological vessel is being born, so that they could populate the earth full of empty vessels, so that they could make the divine souls feel out of place, the black sheep, and make us feel indifferent, different. What do you think about that?
I mean, you're absolutely right. Again, they're do whatever they can to push us out. You know, SIDS back in the 80s and 90s, what that truly was about, it wasn't just about these injuries. That was part of it. But what they did was they popped the soul. They literally, through the astral and etherical realm, they cut the life source of these star seeds, these divine beings that would be our age right now and a little bit older, a little bit younger, from ever having our lifetime, so that we wouldn't be able to have children or continue to do what we were supposed to do. So they have done a lot of things to prevent and to keep us captive and to create an illusion. The thing about it is, and I think that's the master recipe here, is that the more of us that are activating the dormant DNA, the more of us that wake up, the more of us that come through this and start to see through the illusion. Because once you see through the illusion, it's really hard to go back. And that's where we are right now. We have a division where there's people who see through the illusion and are completely awake, and the others that are just, they're still dormant. They're still under some form of hypnosis. And I think that's why there are so many star seeds like you and I, public speaking, writing books, or out in our communities, trying to wake people up the best way we can in a gentle, loving, compassionate way, because there's no shame in it, and there's no contest. We're trying to work away from ego. But there's so many things working against them from waking up, because of the programming and genetic modification. So the junk DNA that we talk about, that scientists can't figure out what happened, what happened to all of this part of our DNA that's just dormant. To me, that's the consciousness. So as we activate and we become more illuminated and we awaken, we become more crystalline within. Our DNA activates and it overlaps with our spiritual DNA, and that's the junk DNA. And that is what's coming on right now for adults all over the world. So those previous asleep, what we call the sheeple, or the sleepers, are waking up and their DNA is activating, and they're like, oh my gosh, and they're starting to come on board with the rest of us. So it's actually a lot of beautiful things. So like you said in the beginning, they do a lot to try to derail us, but they can't stop what's coming.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, especially now with the electromagnetic field thinning, which, they're pushing climate change. They want to block the sun. The sun is, of course, a frequency anti-aging plasma. And I hear that the sun, helps to increase consciousness, and it's now bypassing or penetrating through the electromagnetic field, which is thinning. And we're seeing two realities now collide with each other parallel. There's a split, but the split it's not a permanent split yet. It's one of my favorite topics, something that I've been learning myself recently. And I've been learning about holograms and how the atom, how obviously everything's made out of atoms. Atom is 99.9% space, made out of photonic light. Which proves this is a hologram, and there's been so many scientific studies on this, and I'm hearing that as we're going through the split, there's two groups of people. There are people that are just they're starting to become more curious. They're starting to ask more questions. They're starting to be more aligned, and then you're getting other people that are just becoming more chaotic, and they're not able to anchor into the other frequency. So they're shifting out of our realities, and the matrix is playing a storyline that makes sense. For an example, they might be getting a disease and just dying off, which is horrible to say, but I've experienced a lot of deaths with families and friends and acquaintances. I'm seeing a lot going on, and even in 30-year-olds, and I'm seeing this as their souls are exiting, and they're just continuing in the other hologram. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, and it's such an important topic you're bringing up, Nicholas, because not everybody is at the level of consciousness where they are ready to evolve, and that's okay. Again, this is not a contest. We are not judging those that are not ready. Perhaps they have been enslaved for millions, thousands, hundreds of years, whatever the spectrum may be. They have been through severe trauma and they are very fragmented. And this is just not the lifetime that they are ready to ascend. And so those souls are exiting the planet in mass exodus. And so a lot of them are leaving through suicide as well. So we have those souls, and then we have those that are ready. and are starting out, and then those that are kind of the leaders in the movement, and we've got everything in between. But the sun truly is part of the activation, and so the sun is becoming stronger, and what it's doing is it's bringing in more light codes, so we can actually record. The Schumann resonance has had these crazy spikes, and people are correlating those spikes with vivid dreams, with memories. So the veil actually is thinning. So they create this illusion so that the architects of this illusion, the players, the dark players, what I call them, the Dracos, and the 100 layers above them that we've never even heard of or seen, they do what they can to keep us in this loose, dark system. And in order to keep us in a loose, dark system, it has to operate under the guides of fear and low frequency, dis-ease, poverty, enslavement, money, ego. That's what drives this reality. So the people who are like really immersed in that and they get off on that and that is their thing, they thrive in this environment. The ones that have been called the rebels, the way showers, the black sheep, the weirdos, the woo-woos, starting probably in the 40s and through the 70s and 80s, the indigos started to be like, hold on a second. I don't really align with this, and started thinking for themselves, started thinking differently, but at the time it wasn't time for that yet. And then the fourth wave, which are the children that are coming in after the 2000s, are really the ones that are saying, and they're asking the right questions and they're activating the adults. And we're all seeing through this illusion that they created. Some people refer to it as the firmament, which is why there's such this big pull for the flat earth theory. That's just because they're trying to create us an illusionary environment that is in this 3D firmamented parameter. So we have this beautiful toroidal fields. We are actually infinite beings with the capacity to be in many places multidimensionally. But when we are hoarded into these lower vortexes of environments and realities, it prevents us and blocks us. That's why we have this dormant DNA. And we forget, we lose our gifts. But now, because so many people are raising in consciousness, more light's coming through to the planet, more people are activating, and we are assisting and helping each other. And then the animal kingdom. So I work a lot with the animal kingdom, and they are doing what they can to assist us through this process as well.
Actually, yes, very interestingly, because I know elephants, dolphins, and other species actually have more empathy than humans. So, can you explain that? Because although I believe, of course, they have souls and they are in a different vessel to us, in a different meat suit to us, but they're also here to anchor, the frequency that you're talking about. What kind of channeling are you receiving from them?
Yeah, so I just wrote a book about this, Healing the Human Animal Bond, and I've been speaking publicly a lot about animals because I spent the first 20 years of my career as a nurse, as an animal nurse. So I've been working with animals, doing animal communication and animal healing for a very long time. So I've learned so much from the animals. And the wildlife truly plays very different levels of roles. So we have the guardians of the planet, which are the whales and the dolphins. And then on land, we have the horses and we have the elephants, which is why I have the elephants behind me, because those are my guardians. Those are the ones that I connect with the most. And then there are other guardians like lions and bears and wolves, and then the avian species. And so they're all working together to do many things. Energetically, they migrate in order to keep the grid work going in this planet, to keep vortexes open, but also keep some of them closed, to protect sacred sites, to anchor certain frequencies into the planet. So they work in symbiosis with Gaia. The domesticated animals come into this world to help us. So generally, dogs and cats, I'll just speak about them first. Domesticated dogs and cats came in, and they're generally our family members. So in our soul network, meaning may not have been a family member in this life that has passed on, but they have been in other lives with us, or they are part of our soul network. And they can't come in as an extension of us to guide us, to support us, to give us unconditional love. And some of them actually take on our illness. So a lot of animals get sick and ill and unfortunately pass on because they save our lives. So sometimes an animal will take a cancer from us because we were going to get that and we couldn't die. Like, I need to be here. I have a lot of work to do. So this animal comes into my life, takes this disease from me, and that's it. That was its purpose. That was its contribution to me, because we love each other so much and we have this understanding. But when we are in the real world and we lose our animal, it's almost devastating. It is devastating for us because we think we did something wrong. So the biggest message I'm getting from animals in my animal communication sessions is, I did this for you. So learn from this and do better and heal and go within and work on yourself so that I don't have to come back in and do it again.
Absolutely. I love that message. And I'll tell you what, it aligns a lot with what I'm hearing recently from people, that the people that are becoming more aligned, I've noticed that they're wanting to be alone. They're not needing to chase. They're not needing to fix or defend. And they just want to be. They very want to be present. And they say to me, because the mind cannot calibrate that. The mind cannot understand that because the mind is separate. And they say to me, and I have to say, I feel like this too. When I wake up in the morning, I don't want to get out of bed sometimes. I feel like a very mild depressed feeling. And I don't know if it's because the mind, the ego is being, or the ego of wanting to chase is dissolving. And I want to be present, and the soul and the mind cannot connect with each other. Or maybe it needs to calibrate. I don't know. You tell me.
So yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. And so historically, the way the Lucius system works in this planet is through ego and power. So if you are fully in service to self and an ego, you are one of those people who the world revolves around you and you don't connect. You don't really have a lot of empathy towards others. It's your world. I'm just visiting your world. But right now, the beautiful thing that's happening is we are activating an awakening and unity is occurring. So we are connecting consciously with one another and we are expanding. And the beautiful thing is that we come together and we evolve and we grow. But the side effect of that is that we feel deeply the pain of everybody, our ancestors. So there's a heavy sorrow going on of trauma and healing. And we are feeling each other's healing and traumas as we grow together and we heal together. And so we're connecting. And some days it's just harder than others because it's just so heavy. And so we're working to transmute that by everybody playing their role and their way. And one day for you, it might be, I just need to stay in bed and my body needs to rest so I can transmute what I can do to be of assistance to the collective energy. And then I might need to go out and run 5 miles to get it and transmute it in that way. Or I need to do a video today and I have to get this message out, or I have to write this book or write this blog or whatever it may be. Everybody is tuning into what is needed. And that is the thing that scares the dark players the most, is this collective unity that is occurring, because it's not a hive mind. A hive mind is what they want. It's a hive mind. Consciousness is where we all think the same. The NPCs all do the same. We act the same. We think the same. We're all ego based. We're all selfish. We're all, conceited, and we don't care. But when we are open minded and we have this free will and sovereignty, we grow and we blossom and we awaken and activate, and we have a collective consciousness. And that's where the beauty is.
I feel like what you're saying, absolutely, the collective, the consciousness, the source field, I call it, and when we align with our intuitions and we go with non-linear time and we go with the flow, like what you said, now I feel like I want to do this, and now I feel like, and you just kind of go with the flow, but you remain present. You almost become unpredictable to the grid, the control grid,
Yeah.
because it's foreign to them. They don't know what's happening. It's unpredictable. And you mentioned earlier about the year 2000, when you said a lot of souls came in to anchor the new frequency. Since then, scientists have been able to observe the atom, and they've noticed that there's been a shift in the way atoms behave, and it goes in line a lot with the hologram. So the new frequencies are anchoring Earth, which is changing the hologram or changing the simulation. Which is, what do you think about that?
Essentially, that's exactly right. Like we are rewriting. Like that's what co-creation is about. And that's what they don't want, Nicholas. When you go away from the light, when you go away from God and you have this hive-minded, low vibrational field where the architecture is like a video game. Think about a video game programmer. They just program up to a certain amount of levels and then that's it. And then you just start over and you rinse and repeat and you just do the same thing and there's not a lot of potential because that's all they know how to do. But when we are activating and awakening as a collective, coming together and we co-create, we are rewriting our own programs. That's what the Great Awakening means, or that's what the Golden Age is all about, is rewriting our own history. And that's why the children are so special, because they're coming in more unique than we have ever seen before. They are remembering their past lives and they're bringing in technology, innovation, ideas, healing, empathy, things that we have not seen since Lemuria. Even you mentioned Atlantis, but I mean, we're rewriting Lemuria and parts of Atlantis, and they're bringing in the wisdom from their ancestry of all over the cosmos coming in here, and that can't be stopped. And we are co-creating with our light.
Do you think that the reason why we're going to create that back again, and probably much quicker than before, thousands of years ago, is because these souls that are now anchoring Earth, the veil is thinning, and they will be remembering that they once lived Lemuria or Atlantis, and they remember those gifts. They remember how to rebuild those societies again. Do you think that this information or memories will flood back into their souls so that we could recreate?
I mean, yes, for the last 6 years, I do one-to-one sessions and soul readings most of my time. And so I work with families all over the world, not just in the United States. And I'm telling you, I work with children every single day who are telling me about their lives on Mars, who are telling me that they were architects in Atlantis and showed me how their water system and filtration system worked and the free energy devices. They are remembering. It's not a conspiracy, and they're telling me about these things that their parents say there's no way that they have even heard of some of the things that they're talking about. So it is happening, and the cool thing about it is it's activating the parents and the collective around us, because then we are spontaneously starting to recall our lifetimes in Lemuria, Atlantis, ancient Egypt, and all these other periods. So we are remembering because the veil is so much thinner. That is why we can't be stopped. And I believe that 2025 has been a year of realignment. So it's all about aligning, readjusting, dissolving friendships, partnerships, relationships, anything and everything that's not serving the highest good as this timeline starts to split and we really go in and out of resonance with one another and our likes and our dislikes. We start to really shift and we move away and we realign. So 2025 has been a year about realignment, and a lot of that has had to do with disclosure and uncomfortable healing and recognizing and unraveling the layers of our programming and limiting beliefs, and having to be honest with ourselves and say, oh my gosh, I think that I might have been wrong about that. Or perhaps I was really narrow-minded about that. And our perception is expanding significantly, which is why we are moving so fast right now. So to me, 2026 is going to be about creation, like activation and like getting things moving. And we have a really exciting times to come, despite the fact that 2025 has been kind of a crazy year and a lot of hardship has occurred. A lot of beautiful things have come as a result of that growth.
Absolutely, really interesting stuff. And also, whilst all this is happening, the control grid is it understands that they have a small window before the permanent split happens to capture as many souls as possible through manipulation and unconsented contracts, through manipulation, and And I believe that they're going to do this with digital ID through biometrics, scanning your DNA and things like that to map your frequency, to tether you to their simulation. And this isn't about judgment, but this is resonance. So what do you think about this?
I mean, it's all about energy. And
Mm.
so one exciting perspective that I think I have, Nicholas, that is different than most people, not saying I'm special or anything. I just have a really cool job. I have the unique ability to speak with hundreds and thousands of people a year. And through their sessions, I get to see a glimpse from their past and into their future in the illusion of time, of course. And what I am seeing is so many vibrant changes. So many things are occurring. So many things are coming our way, and the dark ones are trying and have tried everything they can to suppress us. But the opposite is happening. We're activating, and because we are activating more, we are able to, and capable, our bodies are capable now of bringing in even more light, which means even more advanced, higher density souls are coming through on the daily, every single day, all over the world, high frequency souls that are higher than the previous generation and the generation before that, because the bodies are starting to change. And now we can hold the frequency of even higher ascended master type of souls that are coming through to be the leaders of the future. And these souls cannot be manipulated. The technology is not working on them. I actually call them disruptors. So they come in and they disrupt the matrix and they're actually breaking it down. Now we can do that too, because the higher we are in frequency and the more we work together and raise our resonance and our toroidal field amplifies, we can also disrupt. So if we're all disrupting the grid and it's breaking down, what is it that they could possibly do to stop it at this point? There really isn't. And so my outlook is so much more positive than most people, because people always say, Sherri, how are you so positive about the fact that this ascension is moving forward and the Great Awakening is happening when there's so much disarray in the world and there's so much uncertainty? I'll tell you why. Because I work with children on a daily basis and they tell me that they would not continue to come into this matrix to help break it down if we were not at a point where change was truly occurring. They would not come, and they couldn't come because their bodies wouldn't be able to hold the frequency. So the fact that they keep coming in and the fact that they are continuing to come shows me that we are at the point of no return. And the matrix is breaking down despite their every effort to stop it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Amen to that, right?
Right?
Right. Well, Sherri Divband, it's been an absolute honor to have you on my show. Thank you very much for sharing that. It's really, really interesting stuff. And I think people are ready to hear this more and more. Have you noticed? What do you think?
I think so. Even when I came on your show a couple, 5 years ago, and I said a lot of these things, I think people were still on the fence. They weren't sure. They weren't as open to it, but that's okay, because
Yeah.
it's all about planting the seeds. And now I've written, like I said, 3 books later and thousands of clients later, I'm seeing a different type of people that coming to me for sessions now that are ready and saying, I'm ready to do the work. I want to work with you. I need help. And people are actually shifting and changing, and we're seeing the result of that in so many beautiful ways. And so yeah, the time is now.
Absolutely, the time is now. Sherri, thank you very much. And just for the sake of the video, because people like to steal our videos, and we've got no links in those descriptions, which I will be putting your links to this video. Do you want to say, let people know how they can follow you?
Sure, yeah. It's real simple. It's sherridivband.com is my website. So if anyone wants to have sessions with me as an adult or children, you can go to my website, book it there. All of my books are on Amazon. I have 5 books and 10 children's books. I'm also on Instagram, and I have my own YouTube channel, all under my name.
Great.
Real easy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do this for every video, and because we're back on YouTube, I just want to put it out there like a disclaimer. Um, um, we're not, this is for educational and, entertainment purposes only. And, do your research. We're not making any claims. I just want to put that out there because we need to use the matrix tools to to wake as many people up as possible and to be strategic. But yeah, Sherri, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Just keep your head up. My motto right now to everybody is right now is we're leveling up. So get ready to level up and believe in yourself because now's the time. So Nicholas, thank you so much for having me back on your channel. It's been a great pleasure, and thank you to everyone that has watched.
Thank you. Thank you, Sherri. Bye-bye.
Bye.